Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help you ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for executive coaches and fractional leaders to become licensed circle directors and earn annual recurring six-figure revenues. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of support, accountability, and challenge. If you'd like to learn more, join us at quaidcircle.com. On our show today, I'm really pumped to have Jacob Yang, who's the founder and CEO of Amp Your Story. He's out of one of my favorite cities, St. Paul, Minnesota. Jacob, you're doing some amazing things and working with all kinds of leaders. Welcome to the show. But if you started thinking, what is one key leadership trait that you've seen that helps to differentiate great leaders from poor leaders?
The one trait I wanted to point out, Mark, to you is that they have a consultative leadership approach. It really goes back to the classic 7 habits of highly effective people. And you look against consultative leadership to authoritative leadership. When you have authoritative leadership, it really, not in perhaps this is a bit strong in the brevity, but it almost suffocates your employees and doesn't empower them to do the work that they need to do. And not only that, when you have a consultative leadership, when they feel empowered, they give you more than just the bare minimum. They give you their blood, sweat, and tears, especially if they're backed by that mission alignment for your organization.
Yeah, I really like that. When you think of consultative leadership, what does that look like? What have you seen that consultative leadership style look like in a person?
It comes down to questions, in my opinion. When you go onto a one-on-one with one of your direct reports, you start with, what can I do for you? How can I remove blockers? When you have the authoritative leadership, there's always a constant micromanagement and follow-up. And I'm sure a lot of us listening have had both experiences and gravitate most likely to the consultative side. I think it also plays well into not just leadership, but I'll take the quick snippet here on the sales side. It's like when you think about outbound sales and inbound sales, really good sales executives, in my opinion, they ask how they can remove barriers and actually help people without the intention right away to sell them. It opens doors, it reduces barriers, and builds trust all around.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think, if you start digging down into that, what I heard was curiosity is really important from a leader, right? Like as you said, asking a bunch of questions. So curiosity, I think, is really key. And then the other piece that I'd like to dig into even a little bit more. Sometimes as CEOs and business owners, we overthink what our actual role is, and you nailed it with the true role of the CEO is to remove barriers so that your teammates can excel in whatever they do. And I don't know if you see it, like, again, I think we complicate things too much, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's before the discussion on like how to support your team, I will say from a personal experience that it was a learning process and how to I remove myself from the actual day-to-day grind and learn
Yeah.
how to be a leader and guide people. And I think that's part of the most challenging thing for people to realize is the spotlight is no longer on you the same way when you're an individual contributor as it is to your direct reports. And ideally, a good leader, they want to see the spotlight on the people around them. And so it's been a great learning experience for me working with my committee at Amp Your Story. I'm always trying to elevate the work that they're doing, get their insights, and essentially just build an online community that supports clean energy marketers at scale.
Wow, I like that. I think, keeping along that same theme, one of the things that we talk about a lot in Quaid circles is the owner, the entrepreneur, the CEO really has to figure out where they are most beneficial to the overall team, right? And that's rarely in the day-to-day operations, right? That's rarely making every hire, signing every check, signing off on every expense, regardless of size, all that kind of stuff. And it is hard, right? Because, in a lot of instances, and I think this is true of Amp Your Story, this is your baby. You created this thing from scratch. And, there's nobody that's going to have as much passion around it as you will. However, you've got to help them get close. And that comes from engagement, education, empowerment, and then the execution piece. So I don't know what kind of response you have to that, or maybe you even have a story of you learning that lesson along the way.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to autonomy. When you look at any sort of leadership, it's being willing to actually genuinely trust the people around you. And so learning how to be flexible and provide autonomy to my committee has been a spectacular experience because they advocate for Amp Your Story in their own unique way. And I think that's one of the reasons why I needed a committee to begin with was I realized I had a very strong understanding of one specific area in clean energy, and there was a lot that I am adept enough in, but I wouldn't say I'm the best out there. And I
Hmm.
really wanted to be the best of the best. So when you're a CEO, it's ultimately down to, are you going to choose your personal ego or are you going to choose the success of your company? And I will say that sometimes it can be a daily struggle to remind yourself to pull back and say, okay, this is what's best for Amp Your Story. This is what's best for the organization. This feedback is tough to hear, but it's ultimately going to get us where we want to go. And that's what a good leader does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like how you use the phrase committee too, as opposed to team or staff or whatever. How again, we just talked about that empowerment and that autonomy and all that kind of stuff. Do you do anything when you bring somebody new into the committee that you help them understand? Because a lot of people have come from roles, I'm guessing, that they did not have that autonomy, they did not have that empowerment, and it can feel a little bit awkward when they first experience a great leader, right? So do you do anything specifically that helps them get comfortable with this newfound ability to do the right thing and kind of own how they go about things?
I think the best way I showcase that is by example. And again, it comes back to, this community is completely free at this time. So there's no financial incentive. There's nothing I'm investing my own personal dollars into it. And I want them to see the genuine aspects that I take on a daily basis to connect with people, especially this year with massive layoffs, with the switch in the administration. The clean energy industry has gotten hit really hard. It's a weekly cadence. So I'm
Hmm.
very used to that cadence now, seeing friends and colleagues get laid off. And my fear, and one of the reasons I created the community, was that people who are passionate about clean energy, who are extremely talented, they get out of the industry and they lose that passion, but also they're not part of the great work that I think they should continue to do. And there's so many barriers already with our industry that I also look to reduce the notion of like competition. And yes, there's technically competition, but I also am a firm believer of a rising tide lifts all boats. And so
Hmm.
one of the ways I integrate that in the committee and the community is that I send a message to every new member with that slogan because I want that to be ingrained every step of the way, that there's plenty of companies out there that need support from fractional, freelance, and agency marketers. And the in house marketers too also want support to elevate to their executive team to advocate that marketing isn't just a cost center, but it's a revenue generator. And that's a common blocker we see in marketing as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. It's a lot of leadership is helping people see within them what they might not see themselves, right? And from a CEO standpoint, from a founder standpoint, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you have this lens into people that, again, they either aren't ready to see, or haven't seen it or have put it away or been told to put it away. And I think that becomes another key to great leadership too, is being able to help people understand where their skills and passions align, and creating a space where they can be all over that and really thrive. And it sounds like you're doing that quite a bit, a big focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one piece that's unique to Amp Your Story is that it's essentially a movement, and we really aligned around this message that I send to people. And I every week I'm looking for new clean energy marketers around the world and every continent to connect with, and an aligned message that drives relatability and passion has led to a 74% LinkedIn acceptance conversion rate, which is the industry standard is 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
And I think it just really comes down to, as a leader, what's the direction? What's your why? I mean, it's a
hmm
classic, but Simon Sinek, you start with why is still relevant to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you help others find their why, right? Because that, if you can help them find their why and then get it aligned to, what you're doing, man, it's the sky is the limit. Are there specific conversations or questions that you ask, or how do you push people to help them find their why? What kind of tools and tactics do you utilize to help others find their why?
I will say I'm lucky in the sense that the community, most of those individuals already know their why, and they've just felt siloed in the ability to meet other individuals who are
Mhm.
like-minded. And
Yeah.
so the community is just something that people have been advocating for a long time. And I think there's a lot of passion in this industry. People don't get into it for a paycheck and stability the same way as you might work in manufacturing or healthcare, very sophisticated industries and sectors, because we even have a term, we call it the solar coaster. And it's just this idea that when things are good, you get a lot of funding from the government, everyone's really happy. And then when the pivot switches and there's less focus on solar and maybe other facets of clean energy, there's a lot of layoffs, there's a lot of pivots. And it's like, how do we stay resilient as an entire, um, not just industry, but unfortunately, marketers get hit usually heavily and are usually on the first line to get let go. And so, my end goal with the community is that at some point will be so large that it demands the attention of all the executives in the clean energy landscape to say, okay, I recognize now this is not a cost center, this is a revenue generator.
Mhm. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, as we start to put a bow on this conversation, if you had to look back and talk to young Jacob and say, "Hey, look, here's some things that I wish I would have known when I was, 18, 20, 22 years old, that I know now." What would something like that be? What would you go and tell, 18-year-old Jacob, to be on the lookout for?
I think one of my strengths is moving fast and making decisions fast, but there's also a need on the other side of the coin of critical thinking and taking time on decisions as well. And that's something I've learned as a leader working with fractional capacity with clean energy companies and also with Amp Your Story is sometimes you got to jump right in, you got to move quick. And other times when it came to the branding, the colors, the font of Amp Your Story, there's a lot of thought put into the reasons why I made the decisions I did so that it would resonate with the industry at scale.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Be intentional, make good, quick, decisions that are well thought out, but don't get too bogged down, right? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
you make
Yeah,
find get enough information to make a decision and go, right? That's that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Again, Jacob, I love what you're doing. Can you share with people how to get a hold of you? How can they reach out and become part of Amp Your Story?
Yep. We have a website. It is ampyourstory dot marketing. And you can also find me, Jacob Juan Carlos Yang, or just Jacob Yang for short on LinkedIn. send me a message. My inbox is rather full these days, but I'm having a lot of great conversations. So if you do reach out, let me know where you're coming from, why you're reaching out, and I'd be happy to chat.
Amazing. Jacob, thanks so much for being part of the show, and love the nuggets that you've been able to share and add to our community. So thank you for taking the time. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Awesome. We've done it again. We brought in another great leader with great experiences, and so that we're going to put a little bow on the show today. But as a reminder, Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for executive coaches and fractional leaders to become licensed circle directors and earn annual recurring six-figure revenues. To find out more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.